Exactly. So, this is the real deal. So this is a FLIR camera. Wow, it's going to be a super noisy night on a Friday. So this is not a phone app, just so you guys know. But we are looking for cold spots. You should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. We're looking for the cold, blue and black. We're looking for it to either take shape or for something to, obviously start moving on its own. So I do keep track of the ambient temperature. You're going to see that in your analysis report tomorrow. But I'm looking for 15 to 20 plus degree temperature drops. The cool thing is about your video is there's a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen. That blue dot is there to help guide your eye of where the coldest spot is going to be in the frame at that particular moment. So as the cold spot always in that blue dot? Not always. Sometimes we start to see something that's actually growing cold in temperature, but it's not always the coldest spot yet, and then the videographer actually moved the camera too quick. So if I see the shape of a person, and they're obviously colder than a normal person would be, obviously we're going to analyze it a little bit further. So you are going to get this full video back. So Sean, this one's going to go to you. Okay. There you go. You guys are on it. And that's 3 different Chucks. That's why we look for secondary clues, so that way we know which Charles we're actually talking to in the event that one of them shows up. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's pretty boring for us because, it's a big deal for South Carolina, obviously, but we're ghost hunting. If I don't bring it up, they usually do it for me very angrily through the spirit boxes. So we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Eliza anyway. Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, like the colonial times that she came from. Think of today's standards. The reason I bring that up is because her husband was over double her age when they married. Kind of a creepy age gap back then, definitely a creepy age gap now. So, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. Eliza didn't believe he was dying. So instead, she gets married, and it's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card because we're not even a country yet. So she marries him out of love. There was no foul play. This is a very prominent English woman, by the way. We are going to be very respectful.
It just skipped it orange.
So, we just went up the red, too. Nice. So, she was correct. Her father didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Some of you are wearing it tonight. You guys have been in town for at least a day. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. However, she didn't know what to do with the seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not hot here all the time. When she figured it out, she moved into a cash crop plantation just south of here, got a hold of her dad and said, rice plantations are going downhill in price. We can make a killing with this indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is something absolutely unheard of. So, let's kind of get into the weird stuff, because that's the boring business stuff of Eliza, right? Michaela's like, yeah, give me some weird shit.
That's not what I said.
So we're going to start with yours. So I'm going to kind of give you a series of questions to focus on and kind of see what we're going to get out of it. Go after Eliza's death. She's pretty well open about it. You can ask her how old she was when she got married, what she died from, what year she died, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Like, these are all questions that we commonly get the answers to. So I'm going to leave you with those. With your questions, I know you're looking at me like, holy cow, this is a lot. So, the children, let's skip it. We're going to go after what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore, right? There's no mansion. So, and then when did that happen? It's a very, very specific date. The other thing, let's go ahead and give you the marriage questions as well, because I can see you got your hands full. I'm going to kind of keep things a little bit simpler, because you're going to be watching these meters too. So, what happened to the mansion? When did that happen? And how old were you when you got married? So hopefully we can get some answers out of that. Again, we're in spaces where there's cars. We're not going to go in between vehicles. We're not going to go near cars. We've got people coming by, going to their vehicles. And cameramen, please be careful where you're shooting your cameras. Keep in mind, with both cameras, every little video you take, I splice it together, and I make one video for each camera. So you're just going to get all the splices together. So again, it's not extra work for me. I have a nice automated process for that. But again, just kind of keep in mind when people are going to the vehicle, just point your camera the other way. I'm going to be bouncing around with everybody, trying to see what's going on and making sure we're getting the gist of how these spirit boxes work. Have we heard anything when we've been here?
The only thing I heard was your child or grandchild.
Your child or grandchild. Was that the exact phrase, quote unquote? Okay.
Child or grandchild.
Got it.
Not good.
Have you heard anything on your end besides Dream On?
I heard 25,
Okay.
and I heard Dream On again. And obviously it's been long enough, it should be over.
Yeah, I would think so, unless another station's playing it. And then he had, let me know if his,
He's gone up to red.
he's gone all the way to red?
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude, I'm like
So
past
are we just supposed to ask, like, what happened to the engine? Are we supposed to say
Whatever,
that?
I mean, out loud, focus on it, however you're comfortable. You gotta remember, this is a prominent English woman. I'm gonna tell you right now, we are gonna tiptoe a little bit around this woman because this is one of the spaces I've been looking to retire. I've been coming here for over 3 years. It's almost like she's getting tired of me bringing strangers here. So I've been getting some very unwelcoming messages. Just kind of put that in the back of your brain. And they're not coming from radio stations, I will tell you that. So you heard child or grandchild. Come on. It's so weird. Alright, let's do this. Let me check my word list. Kind of spread out a little bit. Pull out the millimeter, see how high we can get that going. I'm going to actually head up to that space up there because I don't want to anything with dealing with the servants and slaves. I can't prove anything because there's no records, so I try to stay away from basically these parking spaces and I move forward a little bit. I just don't go near cars.
It's very loud.
Hmm?
Listen to that very loudly. But I make sure I keep you in the. I need to keep a person in the frame.
Well, with the cameras, just so you know, I'm not always following up with it in real time, but you can keep it recording. You can keep it going if you want. I'm not always following up in real time because those are really small. And I do send them to YouTube, so that way we can watch them however we want to. So I just pull them up on a nice big computer. An average spike for this location is about 18 to 20. Any other colors? Nope.
You want to trade?
What?
You want to trade machines?
Sure.
Okay. I know you like data.
That's making me crazy. So.
Oh, you're listening to that now.
We swapped just a second ago.
Say so by now you guys should be getting used to like how that thing actually moves around a little bit. You can probably
Yeah.
see the heat differences of the cars and the motors and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, have you heard anything on there yet?
No, I just put it in.
Okay,
It just went off to red.
got another red.
I heard part of Adele set fire to the rain, but that's only because I heard that ooh part. I don't think that counts.
feel like you were struggling with that?
He wanted to switch.
Oh, I got you. I just didn't know the reason.
Yeah, I was interested just to listen.
Got anything, Danny?
Put this one on 05.
05?
Yep.
Okay.
We're on 03 now. Seriously? You're not gonna stop down.
For 11 games in a row.
Oh, 40, 40.
What was that, Danny?
Okay, like stop that like this number. Just stop that. Okay, I just stopped at this number.
So the number 11 is relevant to this location. Jenny, were you asking about the mansion just now?
Yeah.
What did you ask?
Oh, 0.
Not about when?
I asked how old were you when you got married?
Okay.
Oh, it's on free. It was like stopped on free and free 2
Should I tell
free.
him
Like
sunset
it like
five
stopped at
Should I tell him
it like stopped
sunset
at
5
free
today?
2 free. It like stopped.
I think so. Yeah.
Also, just I don't know most of the rest of the songs that are on the radio, so I could have heard other songs. I just don't know most of what's on right now. I did, when I was listening to that, hear the song Set Fire to the Rain.
See, this is why you're supposed to tell me all the funny shit.
The details.
Oh, I
Look for
know.
the
I didn't know. I didn't
details.
hear the words, just the part.
It's on 0 free now. Oh, 2-0.
2-0.
Also with 0.
Let me know if it goes above 6. Like that first number. So if it goes to 7, let me know. Sean, you got anything else coming out?
No. Static.
Okay. Alright, sit back to the back.
Oh, I heard an 11.
11 is relevant. Like 11's good.
Yeah, I heard.
You hear another 11?
Yeah,
I thought you heard 2.
I heard an 11 just then.
Didn't you say you heard 11 before?
I said. I don't know what I said before.
Alright, so
On your numbers.
a couple of things that are actually relevant you're going to start to realize. If you want to take a break with your cameras, by all means do so. Just hit the because we do have a lot of lamp posts around us. Those will kind of give us that much EMF over this way between like 5 to 6. Alright, so where the heck are we? This is Philadelphia Alley. Every tour comes down here because it used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur. So we all tell the story of one specific duel. What's funny is it's normally super quiet down here, which is one of the reasons why I love coming down here. I normally don't hear those kind of cars. But at any rate, so you're going to get a little bit different history out of me because they're just doing the campfire marshmallow stories. You're actually ghost hunting. We don't explore this space like what we did with the Pinckney Mansion site. We kind of get this started because we're going to get bleed over from this location at our next location. So here's how the story goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. By the way, you don't want to record that way. The camera always has to be on your left. Horizontal. So stop your video.
Oh.
So Okay.
I might not have that much usable footage till now.
That's okay.
We're back
just
in
getting
business,
started.
though.
So, doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. So, if you guys actually hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it is not coincidence, just so you know. It happens down here a lot. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd, to prove that he's not after her money, comes down here to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody was walking by, though, and seen he was about to be robbed and killed. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stop on Ralph because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. The letters R.I. show up on spirit boxes all the time. I also have a digital Ouija board in my bag, which is the reason why I bought it, was for this location. We still get the letters R.I. from that while we're in this location as well. Very interesting. But we always need a secondary clue. It's two different characters, same set of clue. So we need a secondary one to verify it. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here, man. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you, and you're going to be dead and gone. But I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You heard the word church. We're also next to St. Philip's Church, which is could go either way, depending on another clue. However, you could stay with my friends at 59 Church Street, rent a room, and you'll be safe. The doctor took him up on the offer, and they became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not just after Amanda's money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because Amanda got wind of this, and she's moving down to Charleston so they can get married. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm just going to put that out there. There is proof of this one, and I'm going to get to it. Yeah, you're laughing because you've probably heard a whistling ghost story before. Yeah, they can't come down here. You're just turning around. But anyway, back to the doctor. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy works. So they have to talk about these plays on the way home. They're talking about Richard III one night. They were arguing over the new actress that was here. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets even more heated when Ralph is insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. By the way, the camera is now on your right, which means it's going to be upside down.
What?
Family.
Yeah, stop your video again.
Okay.
Yeah.
They go their separate ways, but Ralph, like I said, has friends here. So he goes to his friends at the newspaper, and he puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd saw the ad and rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Let's settle this once and for all. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air. He stopped. He didn't want to kill his friend, just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. But Ralph has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. Dr. Ladd drops to the ground, but didn't die. His friends picked him up, carried him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Probably refused it because he was a doctor himself and just wanted to bleed out the lead poisoning. So,
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and finish it up.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll get a nice boat.
Do you think we'll be chilly?
I did not know there was people.
So, every tour that comes down here will tell you to listen for the whistles from the doctor. We're using my voice recorder right now, so when you're listening to this portion of your voice recording, listen for those whistles in the background. If you're going to go through all the way to the end of this alley on your own, use your voice recorders on your phone, but keep in mind every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. I have to pass the alley every night to get back to my car. I always throw a whistle, especially since I got kicked out of here. Let's talk about that, because that's the fun part of the story. Come on over, Mo. You don't want to miss this. So, this alley didn't always go all the way through this way. We're probably standing right about the area where it was cut off. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. It was called Cow Alley. We do get the word cow down here a lot, just so you know. But anyway, those bricks down on that side, those are older, because these bricks weren't here yet. Those ones on that side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks, along with fingerprint swipes on others. I used to always take my groups all the way through just to show off the history. We all need to see it to show how far we've come away from slavery. However, I was a little bit out of bounds when I first started doing this, and every group wants to start getting a reading from that brick. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not staring at the brick in the afterlife, right? This is the last place you're going to find him. November 26th of 2020, my entire group huddled around that brick trying to get a reading. I'm trying to scurry them along because of my reasoning, and it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. Yeah, I was out of bounds. Wasn't supposed to be down there. We're not allowed in neighborhoods. So, the new neighbor came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night and Dad's getting yelled at. Yeah, so we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. So you can imagine the pain that I don't ever work for Thanksgiving again. Yeah, Michaela gets it. So the next day, November 28th, I got a phone call asking me to go down halfway or to reroute my group. I told my team that night, because I had another full tour, it's Black Friday, we're going to reroute, but I don't really believe in this story. I'm not a big pirate person. I'm a vampire guy. So we'll kind of see what comes out of this pirate thing and see what happens. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. What I did not tell them is who we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was like, all right, we'll see what else happens. I get down there, I told them what little bit I did know about pirates in Charleston. The next person on a spirit box, here's the number 300. I don't know what that means in real time. The next day I do the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep taking y'all back there, and I've read more damn books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life, trying to piece together a factual investigation based on pirate lore. So it is a worst or best case scenario. We're either going to have a lot going on or nothing going on. That's one of those spaces. It's, again, I can't make the ghost do anything. We will get bleed over from this location, just so you know. But again, I used to take my teams all the way through here, and we had a couple other spots that we hit after this, but I obviously can't take you down there. We're going to be doing this new route from when I had to change things up back in 2020.
So Anne Bonny, did she die here in Charleston?
No.
She was tried in Jamaica.
Correct.
Okay. So where did she die?
Nobody knows. Could be here, could be Virginia.
Because I was reading on Wikipedia that she supposedly died here in Charleston.
Yeah, there's like 25 different versions of her
Right.
death. Yeah.
Okay.
So everything we're going, and that's a good point. So everything we're going to be discussing about Anne Bonny at the next stop came from a minimum of 2 resources. I have a whole bookshelf of nothing in my library of nothing but pirates and Anne Bonny, trying to piece together. Right.
It's all.
It is all pirate lore.
Yeah.
So again, and that's the whole point. We will have fun in that space. I won't give you like a plethora of questions like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site, because you guys are getting the gist of how to listen to these. But I will give you a few things that I left out on purpose, so you have something to work with. There will be no more subliminal tricks. I promise you on that. So, have we heard anything, Sean? But we're standing here.
Saturday.
Okay.
I don't know.
I want to say that the duel, according to the 10 days prior, was a Wednesday. So I don't even think that the date that he died, I think that would have probably have been, what, a Friday or Saturday, if I'm looking at the calendar properly. I know the exact date that he died, but there's no exact date of when the duel actually occurred. There's always different versions of that, whether it was 10 days or 4 days. I get a lot of info during that week of the year, just because it kind of stirs things up, and the dates are relevant, but I don't have an exact 10 or 4. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So I will be writing down Saturday of what was heard here. Did you get any numbers, Danny? Did you see anything come up? You didn't shout anything, so.
2 and 4 and
Okay.
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Got it. Like I said, I want to get above 5 in this location. Jenny, did you hear anything? I know sometimes it's hard to focus on me and that at the same time.
Oh, he's lighting up.
There's also the.
And he's got a little bit of lamps around here. Yeah, and it's pretty steady. Usually when it's steady or in a pulse or rhythm, it's usually coming from something man-made. All right, fair enough. Let's go learn about crazy pirates. If you want to continue recording with your cameras, you can. Again, just don't point them at other tours.
Sounds good.
Is this what you guys thought you signed up for?
No, I mean, this is, I don't know what
I don't
we
think we
expected.
signed any.
Yeah.
No waivers were like.
Yeah. No, this is cool.
We didn't know, so
Yeah.
just excited.
I get a lot of that actually. That are like, wow, this guy's like legit.
Yeah, this is fun. I think we just came in like, eyes open to, just, like, just
Yeah.
cool experience and
Yeah.
see what's going on. very interested to see, like you said, the data playbacks and stuff. That's very interesting.
That's why, like, when we find things in real time, I get excited for it, but I'm like, I need something else to go along with it.
Yeah.
Like, she has the word church. We did talk about Church Street, but I need the number 59. There's other key words around that specific address that would make sense.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't always reveal them, so that way that nobody's searching for them, kind of thing. I know what color the house is. That thing has come up before. So something a little bit more specific. Not to mention, we're near the tallest steeple in Charleston. So I also have the word religion on my word list. So I get a lot of that around this location.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Why do you think, you were saying, like, you don't get a lot of activity around grave sites? Do you think you get more activity where people spent their time?
So
or?
I look for raised emotion. There's no raised emotion other than, obviously, the burial of the body. So to me, when I'm going through the cemetery, I'm normally there for research to verify dates or anything like that. And that goes for any investigation I'm on. But when I'm going through there and I'm running a spirit box, I'm running EMF detectors, it's pretty minimal. Are we near 2 cemeteries right now, and can names pop up of people relevant in these cemeteries? Sure. Am I going to get much more than that? Probably not. I'm not going to get any details about their life. I'm not going to know that they, planted indigo. I'm not going to know that they got into a bar fight or a duel. I'm not going to know those details. So names are great. I want the deets. That's kind of how I work.
Yeah.
So I want those very specific things that are going to pop up. So we're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. So those are not crosses, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. We talked about the earthquake that we had here in 1886 earlier. But the reason I bring those ones up is because those are the oldest earthquake bolts that we actually put in here in Charleston. If you don't know what those are, they're basically turnbuckles. So there's a turnbuckle that goes through the roof, and there's a bolt on either side. So if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 86, you can turn those, and it'll tighten the building back up so it doesn't incur any further damage. You guys have been seeing them all over town in the shape of pineapples, lion heads, those kind of things. Just part of the Charleston charm because they don't actually work. Every Californian I get on this tour laughs their ass off at me because that is not a thing anymore. They don't work. But again, those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? Because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713, which is part of the reason why we're here. Anne Bonny actually came here during the time that this building was being constructed, and it would be something what I would call a familiar. You guys watch the TV shows and that kind of thing, and you've seen them use a teddy bear to attract a child ghost. It's the same principle. This is just something familiar to her. That's why it's a hit or miss location. We have other buildings around this era, but not many. So, you're double-fisted now. Cool.
Yeah.
So, this building was done in 1713, which took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. But anyway, Anne Bonny's story starts right in the middle of its construction. Follow me, there's a lot of twists. We're talking pirate lore here. 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far?
Yes.
Michaela, you got it? You kind of look like...
Yes.
All right. So the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. Yeah, how mad was she that they had to leave Ireland to come here in 1708 by boat? And I was like, yeah, I get it. She's pretty So they land in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. It's about an hour and a half north of here. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here to Charleston to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Let's take a little bit of a step backwards. Anne back home in Ireland is said to be a badass. They say she killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, this is pirate lore, no exact numbers. With a knife to the belly. So again, knife, belly, servant have all shown up here in the same evening. Fast forward, the building's done in 1713, and pirates are coming through Charleston by 1715. Anne is stoked. Why? She's about 16, 17 years old at this time. She's going to fall in love, so that way she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world at this point. So, the first guy she falls in love with. Yes, I said first because there's a handful. We're going to go through them. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going. Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny. However, James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow, like what she was hoping for, right? So this guy is a privateer, which makes him a spy for the British. This is not who she wants. He's a coward in her eyes. A few years later, she falls in love again. This is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of. So this is the guy she wants. He has his own crew. She wants to be part of that crew. You can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why?
Bad luck.
Right, thank you for keeping it family friendly. So, I get a lot of answers to that question. Anyway, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of it, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, let's do this, I'm a pirate. Most of us are adults, let's put two and two together. She's going to be a female in his quarters. Cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. He's eventually going to drop her off in Cuba before she starts the show. So he drops her off. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, returns with no child. No amount of my research can find out what happened to the baby. That's not the significant part of the story. She comes back dressed as a girl. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting with that pirate crew to make him even more mad. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a male, to be part of the pirate crew the Calico Jack captured. This is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to really know for sure. But the British, they found out where they were. They send a whole fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary, rumor has it, are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannon yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Now, obviously 2 ladies with flintlocks are not going to take on a fleet of ships. They get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot, just so you know. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly after he's tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're already dead and gone. That was November 26th. So Anne and Mary go in front on the 28th. They reveal their gender. He doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies" was the last thing they screamed out because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary because we don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Place unknown. Just so you know, some stories say Virginia, others say here. We have no idea. So, Mary Reed dies a year later, 1721, in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination, make it romantic. It's probably scurvy. Most articles and books will tell you that it was fever. I'm going to call BS on that one. We're talking pirates. So, 2 things I left out of this story, on purpose. The names of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So, those are questions you can ask. Everything else, this is not a prominent English woman. Ask whatever the hell you want to. Poke that bear. Let's see if we can get some answers out of her. Again, we're going to get close to that building and kind of see what we got going on. As far as your EMF detector, now that you have one, don't get too excited when you get numbers closer to those bushes because the parking meters on the other side will make it go off, along with the electrical poles in the corners. So, you know, anything on this back.
I was getting up to like 3, not 4, but like up to 3s when I was walking up the sidewalk.
Cool thing on this one, let me turn on the motion sensor. Anne Bonny loves to show us what color her hair is. This is a motion sensor built into the device. The only way that she can actually show us what color her hair is to touch the metal rod. So, again, we're hoping there's a way to reset it. It's the bottom button right here. So every time it goes off, just click that button. Okay. Colors and numbers don't work together. Every time you move, it's going to give you a little bit of a green. I don't write down greens because more than likely it's coming from you. So, devices love to act up in here. So if we start getting devices acting up, we'll see what goes on. I don't do the drain test like what most people think or they show on TV. I don't see that very often, to be honest. You got a little bit of something going on. Click the reset. You definitely have a red.
Rhythm is
Nice. Funny things you might hear in this location. Girls just want to have
I
fun.
don't even know what happened with
Material Girl. These are songs commonly found at this location, just so you know.
Is it on you?
No, it was on you
What?
because you love the color red.
Stop it.
Oh, you might be her,
Have you heard anything come out of yours since we've been
not
talking?
yet. Not a double focuser.
Double focuser. Can I write that down? Like, that's a great term. All right, let's spread out. Let's see if we can capture it in here. So that red is like almost immediate. That's awesome. We don't always get it. We don't always get it. So. What's funny is some people
Should link back up on that discount for you guys.
The reason I'm taking religion is because it's also on my word list on the way over here. So.
What'd you get?
Finger, religion, and we're offering a huge discount.
Okay. That sounds like a pirate thing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. The 5-finger discount.
So, a couple of years ago when I was first starting to do this, and it was a small group, just a couple, I was using the red spirit box, just like what Michaela has. That person with your camera was filming us. A white film went over the person using the spirit box, and the spirit box shut completely down.
So that's weird.
Yeah, and when I say white film, it was on your camera.
Huh.
It was, and I was fine.
That's
We
very
walked out of the
strange.
space, and it literally went right back into the recording mode, and it takes like 4 buttons to be able to get to that mode. And there was no interruption inside the recording.
That's so weird.
It was, because I scanned that recording pretty thoroughly, trying to find like what happened.
Yeah.
Couldn't find any glitch of where it went, like stopped and started. It just kept going.
That's so weird.
It was.
I got girls just want to have fun.
Did you really?
I did.
It's a common thing heard here all the time. Material Girl's probably next. You'd swear I work for the radio station just to know what the hell's coming up next sometimes. Jenny, what do you got? No matter how silly you think it is.
Okay.
Got any numbers or colors coming out of that? Nothing. And making cut this one short. Give us some answers. Give us some more. Give us some answers. Name your parents or your box. And I work all these boxes. I bring. Show me enough times. What was your father? Kaylee, you got anything?
Money for bills through the end of January.
You have January. So that's could be part of a date or something, obviously.
There's
Okay,
Marvin again. She likes that Marvin. Sexual healing.
Yeah, and I heard girls who want to have fun again. So
Yeah.
back into that.
Yeah.
I get parents that email and text me all the time and give me the list of the things that are like under 10 years old found. I don't know how old it is, but they tell me all the time. They're actually really good at this. Again, sometimes she's just messing around, but other times she's giving us like both parents' names in one sentence. It's the craziest thing. By the way, the biggest orb I've ever caught has been right here with that camera. It was by that wall. Came towards my head, stopped, and went up and disappeared. It was like this big. If we were going to compare it to my head, it came right towards me, stopped for a second, and then went up like a television.
Trying to look for any shapes or anything. I don't see anything.
John, you got anything on the camera?
I don't think so. I've been looking.
Kayla, you got anything coming through? Nothing? Oh, there's our cue. Alright, So at times, your guys' devices or whatever you're hearing in real time. Oh, jeez, sorry, buddy. Something's going to pop up that either says either we're done, goodbye, those kind of things, or give us a cue to the next spot. You have to remember, I'm out here 6 to 7 nights a week. East Coast, no play. My name usually shows up quite a bit. But anyway, we got a cue of our next location, which is the word poem. We're going to be talking about a poet at our last stop. So it's kind of a crazy thing. That's where I normally kind of take the cue and say, all right, we're going to wrap this one up. I don't know where this truck is going. It's going around. But I'll keep that running, and let's give you the quick, short answers of the questions that you guys had. So obviously you guys know that Aunt Bonnie's hair is red. So that was an easy one. We did get the red remnant showed up almost immediately, so that was kind of cool. Again, we don't always get that. By the way, this is one of the few pictures of Aunt Bonnie you can find with a shirt on. The reason why is because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. So, again, I told you this chick was a badass. Obviously, you've done some research on Aunt Bonnie. I usually show this picture because it obviously shows her in true pirate form, and she has a shirt on, which I do get a lot of young boys on this tour, and I don't need angry moms, so I don't need to be showing bare-breasted women. The names of her parents: William Cormack, Mary Brennan. So again, wasn't playing another subliminal trick with the Mary, because we did have Mary Reed. Mary Brennan was actually a servant for the Cormack home. There's a whole another 30-minute scandal we can talk about, but we're not going to get into it. Calico Jack. I always like to show you what he looks like because everybody wants to know what they base Johnny Depp's character off of. Calico Jack. Yeah, you're all interested. So they named him that because of the jackets that he wore. They came from British captains that he killed. So Jack's father was actually a tailor, so textiles were pretty important to him. So again, Calico Jack, fancy jacket. The name of his ship that Anne was part of was called the Kingston. I don't expect Kingston to come through a radio station on your spirit boxes. However, the word king would actually suffice in this location. We don't normally get that answer, which is why I keep giving it out. So again, the word king has shown up periodically over the past 2 years that I've been coming here. But again, we have to kind of mix like what are we working with versus what are they going to be able to tell us. They're going to reach and grab for whatever pieces that they can to convey the message. The next location is our last stop, just so you know. Cameramen, we will be passing by a pretty cool cemetery, so if you want to get footage of that, that's completely up to you. I won't stop, so you're going to have to keep moving. We did capture a 47-degree difference in that cemetery on the thermal last week, so that was pretty interesting when I found that. And I couldn't make heads or tails of it. So something was moving around in there that was 47 degrees colder than the ambient temperature. So and it wasn't just one screenshot, like it was multiple. We're going to be going up to Washington Park, just so you guys know, and it is about 2.5 blocks from here. So it is our last stop, but it is definitely a good creepy story to end our night with. So I'm going to tell you, it is a little lighter than what I normally see. It's not like, oh my god, there's nothing happening. We do have a lot of really good cues. We have our 11, we have the fire, we have blue, girls just want to have fun, you know, those kind of things. I have a couple of things that's going to help tie things together when I'm going through the media tomorrow morning, but I always like to kind of give you guys a gist of like, I'm not Zach Bagans, like where everything's like, oh my god, right? So everything that we're going to be, you know, going through there so far, it's going to be a slightly less than average score because I do score everything. So until I find what I find in the morning. So let's head over to Washington Park and let's go see what we can find along there. Definitely keep listening to your spirit boxes. Mo, just so you know, your device is going to go off because of the parking meter, so you can ignore the mil meter. But again, as we pass by the cemetery, I won't stop, so just get some quick footage. We'll see what I capture in the footage.
Cool.
Black card.
Probably sit for a minute.
Yeah, listen with you.
My favorite station.
Where'd you guys end up parking at?
Oh, yeah.
Republican.
Is he a Republican?
Yes.
Hold on.
Brave. Brave is good. Grave or grave. There's too many people in there, I think. No, it's okay.
Yeah, that's why I like to keep my group small. Like, there's no point in chasing down 20 people with all my gear.
Yeah.
Not to mention the guys, yeah. Like, even for 10 people, okay. You guys hearing anything?
We got a couple things. What'd you get?
Republican, specifically, which I don't think applies to the time.
Actually, it is somewhat relevant. Where did you hear it?
Like, before we made... Right when we came out of the last parking lot, when we crossed the front of the building with the earthquake.
Crosses.
Yeah,
So the
The
Power
non-cross
magazine.
crosses.
So Republican, John Calhoun is buried in the cemetery that we were right next to, and I'm pretty sure he was a Republican. So I'm gonna definitely dive into it. I can't say for sure, but I'm gonna. Normally, when we get a party, I have to look into it because there's a lot of prominent people buried nearby.
Yeah.
We don't normally hear from Calhoun until the month of March, just because he died in March and was born in March. It's kind of like a prominent thing. I see that a lot, by the way, when I'm studying people like this and their birth and death. It's usually in the same month.
Really?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing.
That is weird.
That is weird.
That's very weird.
So like Charles Pinckney, the nephew of Eliza, October, born and died. David George, June, born and died. I'm trying to think, there's somebody else that's like that too.
It is very strange.
It is, but it's like, and the number 22 shows up a lot in these deaths. So it's either the year 22 or the date of 22.
Really?
Like I see a lot of common things with Charlestonian, like prominent folks. It's very strange.
That is very strange. That's interesting.
These are very specific.
Yeah.
What sucks is I don't use, when you guys are like, why a 2022 Ford today, I don't use the 2022 out of it because we're going to hear the year all the time.
Yeah.
I want to hear that 22 people got hurt in a car crash.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more specific.
Right.
2022 was a tough year for that.
Yeah,
For
you're
this.
right. Yeah.
Big boys.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're going to George Washington Park. See the word I have?
No,
It's just the letter G.
How does it, like, what is that? Is that, like, also scanning the same
Exactly what
frequencies?
it's doing. That's the hertz of all the radio stations. It's just scanning them all super fast. So if it picks up a word that it recognizes,
Huh.
There's 9,100 words in this dictionary.
Huh.
The reason I use this one instead of an actual obelisk like you see on TV is because the obelisk only has 2,000 terms in it. This has 9,000. I want a big grab bag. I know the ratio of accuracy makes it lower,
Yeah.
but at the same token, I want that grab bag. I always have one of these running when I'm going to museums or whatever. So I just turn it on, throw it in my pocket, turn a spirit box on, put it on mute, listen to it later, see if anything matches up.
That's cool.
Never even crossed my mind. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Debbie. I don't know who the hell Debbie is, but we're going to find out. You got something going on already? How high did it go? Did you get any numbers?
It got up to 2.
So the weird thing about this space, we've seen yearly rice go up to 150
Okay.
in various spots, which I was going to talk about, but he already went up to red.
Because I had nothing on the street until I came in here and I got to see that kind of.
I'm showing them, like my word list gave me just the letter G in George Washington. So I'm going to see if anything else pops up relative to Washington while we're here, but we're not going to be discussing it. I've had the term Washington show up as we were leaving the car magazine in the past, so I'm not surprised by this G that just showed up. Super weird. Alright, let's head back over this way.
Very small in the face and a hot cup of tea in your hands. She goes, here's people that room myself, it will put you right to sleep. Right to sleep. This is very scary.
Alright, so first time, this is my new spot for the year, just so you know. Every November, December, I test out a few spots to see what's going to give me the most amount of information and kind of change things up, because I get a lot of repeat people, especially in the summertime. They don't want to go to the same spaces, even though every single investigation is different. So I always kind of like take out one, and I took out Lodge Alley this year, which is why I was kind of like, alright, Lodge Alley's not giving me much. I'm going to add, one or of 3 spots. This is the spot I landed on. First time I came here, I had no idea what to find. Look around. There's a ton of monuments here. There's going to be a lot of tourists coming through here, all talking about Lavinia Fisher and the old jail, or, Captain Beauregard over there, something along those lines. What we found was the name Henry and the name Tim and the year 1828, all the exact year, 1828, on a spirit box, the first time I came here. All 3 of those things are relative to this man behind me. This is Henry Timrod, born in 1828. I had heard Henry's story somewhere else, but I had to kind of do a little bit of research. I do not know a big lengthy story about this guy. You're here to teach me more things about him and see what comes up on these spirit boxes now that you know what you're doing. Here's what I do know. The man was sick through most of his life. So he was obviously born and alive for the Civil War and wanted to fight on the Confederate side. So he goes to the battlefield and his friends realize that he's too sick to fight. So they sent him home and said, go be the voice of the war. They knew he was a writer and a poet. So he started writing poetry about what was going on the battlefield. And he became known as the Laureate of the Confederacy. So that was his title. A few years after he left the war, he actually has a son. His son dies at a very young age and has a very specific name, which hopefully you're going to find out either one of those things from your spirit boxes. So, a few years after that, his college friend calls him up and says, you know what, I know you're working on this piece for the paper down in Charleston. Why don't you come out to my cottage and work on this, new poem you're working on, and you can have some peace and quiet. So he goes out, and that's where he wrote his last words. He writes, beholder of brief mortality, meaning person of short life. And then he coughs, and it lands on the page in a blood stain, and he dies instantly. He had tuberculosis. Now, that blood stain is still on the page, and it looks like a man writing at his desk. They only show this book one day a year at the Charleston Library Society on Halloween, and you have to be a member to be able to go see it. However, of course, I found a picture of it on the internet. So I'm here to show you what this page actually looks like. It is called the Blood Book. And you can also see his last words of beholder of brief mortality. And here is the bloodstain that looks like a man writing that he left behind as his legacy. What I also like to do while we're here is, because this is a very shy, timid, introverted writer, I'm going to read the last stanza of his poem Charleston to hopefully start.
Did you stop?
Your guys' video is going to be super great.
Damn it.
Come on, Dan.
No.
It's okay. I deal with amateurs for a living. It's fine. I want to see how high they're going to get on this. Alright, keep listening. I'm not going to say the son's name. Please don't
Okay.
do that. It's not Steve.
It's not Steve. What is the son's name? Give us the answer. Give us the answer. What is the son's name? Tell us the son's name. We're listening with all my energy and hearing the son's name. He was a baby. He was 9 years old. I don't know. Whatever number is that?
23rd.
His name is not Steve. Because his name was...
Free.
It's not free. Not TikTok. What is your name? Heard 20% interest. That's not a good deal. Let's walk towards them. We're searching for a son's name. We're listening for a son's name.
Here, I'll show you my email. I was having trouble at the table. I'm like, I don't know
Henry's is this one. Yeah, y'all are following me for a second. So what's up New King Street? Or y'all need to Uber or Lyft over to share. So what you can do is Will South Hotel, the one up under Triage.
New York. Give us one boy's name. Name of the son. Why is it so hard to get a name? It's not Steve.
Let's walk over to the statue and back.
Okay. The son's name.
It's probably not going to tell me anything.
Tell me the son's name. It's man to man. Nor the woman here. Last chance for the son's name. House hunting. Heard that for sure.
You guys look eager. What do you have?
You got New York.
House hunting. That's it.
bunch
Seriously,
of
we're
sales
asking
are
a lot
going
about
on.
names, but
Bunch of sales.
Yeah.
Bunch of clearance. Get your
Yeah.
mattress today. Going out of business.
no names.
Not
so
a
we're
lot of
listening really
names.
hard.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and kill your camera. We actually had quite a